In the year 2157, humans had spread to Mars and a few moons in the solar system. Most alien races in the galaxy saw humans as simple creatures who had barely left their home planet. They were like children taking their first steps into a world of ancient, powerful civilizations. Jack Harmon flew his small scout ship through the darkness near Alpha Centauri. He was 42 years old with gray starting to show in his dark hair. Before becoming a space scout, he had been a Navy SEAL on Earth. Those skills made him perfect for exploring unknown regions where danger might wait. Nothing but rocks and dust, Jack muttered as he checked his sensors again. This was his third week searching this sector, and he had found nothing worth reporting back to Earth Command. Just as he was about to turn back, something flashed on his screen. A large object drifted silently about 2,000 miles ahead. It wasn't on any charts. Vega. What are we looking at? Jack asked his ship's computer. Unknown vessel. Not matching any human designs. Power readings minimal. No life signs detected. Vega replied in her calm voice. Jack's heart beat faster. This was first contact with alien technology. He carefully moved his ship closer. The strange vessel was about 3 times the size of his scout ship. Its surface was smooth and dark purple with strange symbols etched into the hull. We should call this in, Jack said. But curiosity pushed him forward. His ship had the best sensors and shields Earth could make. He would take just one closer look before reporting back. He matched speed with the drifting ship and moved alongside it. Up close, the alien vessel looked ancient. Parts of its hull had damage from what looked like weapons fire. A large opening in the side seemed to be an entry point. I'm going to check it out, Jack decided, putting on his spacesuit. Vega, keep the engines hot. If anything happens, get a message to Earth about what we found. Understood, Captain Harmon, but I advise against boarding an unknown alien vessel alone. Jack smiled. Noted. But this is why they send scouts. To scout. He pushed off from his ship and floated across the gap. His boots magnetized to the alien hull with a soft thunk. The inside of the ship was dark except for a few dim lights along the floor that activated as he entered. The air inside was breathable according to his suit sensors, so Jack removed his helmet after a moment of hesitation. The corridors were wider and taller than human ships, suggesting the aliens who built it were larger than humans. After 20 minutes of careful exploration, Jack found what seemed to be the bridge. A large chair sat in the center, facing a curved wall of dark screens. The control panel glowed softly with strange symbols. Vega, are you getting this? Jack asked through his comm unit. Yes, Captain. I am recording everything. These symbols do not match any known language in our database. Jack moved closer to the control panel. Something about the symbols seemed almost familiar, like words on the tip of his tongue. He reached out and touched one that glowed brighter than the others. For a moment, his fingers connected with the symbol. A shock ran up his arm. Jack fell to his knees as his mind filled with images and knowledge that weren't his own. He saw stars, planets, and technology beyond human understanding. He saw beings made of light building machines that could reshape reality. He heard words, in a language he'd never heard but somehow understood. When the flood of information finally stopped, Jack lay gasping on the floor. His head pounded, but he felt different. Changed. He knew things now, impossible things about physics, technology, and the history of the galaxy. Captain Harmon, your vital signs spiked dramatically. Are you injured? Vega's voice came through his comm. I'm okay, Jack said, standing slowly. He looked at the control panel again, and now he could read every symbol. Vega, I think. I just received some kind of data download directly into my brain. That is not possible with current technology. Not human technology, Jack corrected. He touched another symbol, and the ship hummed to life around him. Screens lit up showing star maps and technical diagrams. Vega, I know what this ship is. It belonged to a species called the Precursors. They were caretakers of the galaxy, I guess you could say. They're gone now, but they left their knowledge behind. How do you know this? Because they put it in my head, Jack said, his fingers moving across the control panel with certainty he couldn't explain. And I know where to find more. In the 5 years that followed, Jack Harmon's life changed completely. Using the knowledge from the precursor ship, he led Earth to rapid advancement. He showed scientists how to build faster-than-light engines. He helped engineers create energy shields that could stop any weapon. He revealed the locations of other precursor sites where more technology waited. Earth's nations, seeing the advantages of working together in space, formed the Solar Federation. Jack became its leader not because he wanted power, but because he was the only one who truly understood what humanity now faced. "We can't show everything we know," he told his closest advisors one night. They sat in a secure room beneath the new Federation headquarters in Geneva. "The galaxy is full of old civilizations that might see us as a threat if we advance too quickly. So what do we do?" asked Olivia Weston, his chief of security. "We hide our true capabilities," Jack said. "When we meet other species, we act like the newcomers they expect us to be, eager to learn, relatively primitive. Meanwhile, we prepare." This strategy proved wise when the first official contact came with the Arcturian Dominion, a powerful empire spanning hundreds of worlds. Their ambassadors arrived in massive ships that hovered over Earth, expecting to find a young species awed by their technology. Jack played his role perfectly. He marveled at their ships, asked simple questions, and negotiated fair but modest trade agreements. All while hiding the fact that human ships could now travel faster, human shields were stronger, and human weapons were more advanced. More alien races followed. The Nelvari Consortium, the Drakid Collective, the Phalanx of 7 Worlds. Each treated humans as curiosities, primitive beings who had somehow stumbled upon space travel. Jack let them believe it, building a network of allies who underestimated Earth at every turn. In private, he continued pushing human advancement. Secret shipyards in the asteroid belt built vessels with technology no alien had seen in thousands of years. Hidden bases on distant moons trained soldiers with weapons that could pierce any known defense. Some people on Earth started calling Jack Emperor after he united the planet and expanded human territory to nearby stars. He hated the title but allowed it when dealing with alien cultures that respected such authority. 5 years after finding the precursor ship, Jack stood on the observation deck of his personal vessel, watching Earth grow smaller as he headed to a meeting of the Galactic Council. The ship looked simple from the outside, exactly what aliens would expect from humans. Inside, it contained technology that would shock even the oldest races in the galaxy. "Ready to play primitive again?" asked Nathan Kelly, his friend and head of security, joining him at the window. Jack nodded, his eyes still on the fading blue planet. "For as long as necessary. The galaxy isn't always kind to newcomers who rise too quickly. But someday soon, they'll know what humanity is truly capable of." He didn't know then how soon that day would come, or that it would begin with a princess in danger and a rescue that no one believed possible. Princess Elara Zinthara stood at the viewing window of her royal ship. She watched the stars streak by as they traveled through space. As the daughter of Sovereign Nadar, ruler of the Arcturian Dominion, she had been raised to one day lead her people. She had blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the light and silver eyes that missed nothing. Unlike others in the royal court, Elara found humans interesting. Many Arcturians laughed at the new species that had just found its way to the stars. They saw humans as children playing with tools they barely understood. But Elara saw something different in them, especially in their leader, Jack Harmon. "We will reach the border region in 2 hours, Your Highness," said Captain Lorex, her chief of security. Elara nodded. "Thank you, Captain. Has there been any response from the Drakids?" "No, Your Highness, they continue to ignore our messages." This troubled Elara. The Drakid Collective had always been difficult, but lately they had become more aggressive. They claimed parts of space that had belonged to the Arcturians for generations. This diplomatic mission was her father's last attempt to solve things peacefully. "Perhaps we should have accepted the human offer of an escort," Captain Lorex said. Elara smiled. "Would their small ships have made you feel safer, Captain?" "No, Your Highness," he admitted. "But I hear their leader is clever." "Yes," Elara said, thinking of the few times she had met Jack Harmon. There was something about him that didn't fit with what she knew about humans. He asked simple questions, but his eyes held deep understanding. I believe he is more than he appears. The ship shook suddenly, throwing Ilara against the window. Alarms blared throughout the royal cruiser. We're under attack, shouted Captain Lorex, pulling her away from the window. We need to get you to the escape pods. Through the window, Ilara saw 5 Drakid warships appearing from behind a small moon. The ships were dark green with sharp angles, like predators ready to strike. Energy beams cut through space toward her ship. How did they know we would be here? Ilara asked as Lorex pulled her through the corridor. This route was secret. We have a traitor or their spies are better than we thought, Lorex said grimly. Either way, we must get you to safety. They ran through the ship as it rocked, from explosions. Crew members rushed to battle stations. The royal guards formed a protective circle around Ilara. When they reached the escape pod section, they found it in flames. A direct hit had destroyed all the pods. To the bridge, Lorex ordered. We'll make our stand there. On the bridge, screens showed the battle outside. The royal cruiser was strong, but it wasn't a warship. 3 of its 4 engines were damaged. The shields were failing. Your Highness, said the communication officer, we've sent distress signals, but we're too far from any Arcturian outposts. Help won't arrive in time. Ilara watched as another explosion rocked the ship. Keep fighting, she ordered. The Arcturian royal family does not surrender. But it was too late. A massive energy blast hit the bridge shields. Systems failed throughout the ship. The lights went out. Then emergency power came on, bathing everything in red. They've disabled us, Lorex said, checking the remaining systems. They could have destroyed us, but they didn't. They want something. They want me, Ilara realized. As the heir to the Arcturian throne, she would be valuable to the Drakids. The ship shuddered as something large attached to its hull. Cutting sounds came from the main doorway to the bridge. Stand ready, Lorex told the remaining guards. They formed a line in front of Ilara, weapons aimed at the door. The door exploded inward. Through the smoke came the Drakids. They were tall beings with green-scaled skin and yellow eyes. Their armor was black and seemed to absorb light. Their weapons fired not energy but sound waves that knocked the Arcturian guards off their feet. Ilara picked up a fallen weapon and fired at the Drakids. 2 fell before something hit her from behind. As darkness took her, she heard a rough voice. Careful with the princess. Bexcar wants her alive. Ilara woke slowly. Her head hurt and her mouth was dry. She opened her eyes to find herself in a small cell. The walls were dark metal with strange symbols carved into them. A force field shimmered across the front of the cell. She stood carefully, testing her body for injuries. Finding none, she approached the force field. Beyond it was a corridor lined with similar cells. Most were empty, but in one, she saw an old Nelvari with tattered clothes. Where are we? She asked him. The Nelvari looked up with sad eyes. HFY 4, princess. The prison moon. No one leaves this place. Ilara had heard of HFY 4. It was a volcanic moon in neutral space, far from any major civilization. The Drakids had built a prison there that they claimed was impossible to escape. How do you know who I am? She asked. Everyone knows, the Nelvari said. The Drakids made sure of it. They want the galaxy to know they captured the Arcturian princess. A door opened at the end of the corridor. 2 Drakid guards came in, followed by a larger Drakid in ornate armor. This one had red stripes on his scales and eyes that were orange instead of yellow. Commander Vexcar, the Nelvari whispered, backing away from his force field. Vexcar stopped in front of Ilara's cell. Princess Ilara Zinthara, welcome to your new home. My father will never give you what you want, Ilara said, standing tall. Vexcar laughed. Oh, I think he will. The question is how much of his empire he'll surrender before we return what's left of his precious daughter. The Arcturian Dominion doesn't negotiate with kidnappers, Ilara said firmly. Perhaps not. But they also have never had their heir in Drakid hands before. Vexcar leaned closer to the force field. Even now, your father calls an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. He begs for help like a weakling. Ilara felt a flash of hope. The council included representatives from all major species in the galaxy. If they voted to help, the Drakids would face the combined might of many civilizations. The council will never allow this, she said. Vexkar's smile showed sharp teeth. The council will debate and argue while you rot here. No one can reach you. This facility has defenses provided by a dozen different races. The best mercenaries guard its halls. Even if they wanted to help you, they couldn't. He turned to leave, then stopped. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. Your new friend, the human, will be at the council meeting. He has offered human help to rescue you. Vexkar laughed again. Imagine that. Primitives who barely understand space travel think they can break into the most secure prison in the galaxy. After the Drakids left, Ilara sat on the small bed in her cell. She thought about Jack Harmon and his offer to help. Most would see it as a foolish gesture from a species trying to look important. But Ilara remembered the look in Jack's eyes. When they had met at diplomatic functions, there was depth there and secrets. Perhaps there was more to humans than anyone knew. She closed her eyes and hoped. Because if Jack Harmon couldn't help her, she might never see her home again. Jack Harmon sat quietly at the large round table in the Galactic Council chamber. Around him, representatives from 27 different alien species argued loudly. Some stood at their places, waving their arms or tentacles. Others pounded the table. A few had changed colors in anger. The emergency meeting about Princess Ilara's kidnapping had been going for 6 hours. They had made no progress. The Arcturian royal family must not give in to these demands, shouted the Nelvari ambassador, a tall being with purple skin and 4 arms. Easy for you to say, replied Sovereign Nadar, Ilara's father. His blue skin had turned almost gray with worry. It is not your daughter in Drakid hands. Jack watched and listened. The humans had been given a seat at the council table only recently. Most alien species still saw humans as newcomers who should be seen but not heard. This suited Jack perfectly. It let him observe while being underestimated. What about a military rescue? Asked the representative from the Phalanx of 7 Worlds, a warrior race with metal plates grafted to their skin. The council's military advisor, a 6-legged being named General Krex, brought up a hologram of Caraxes A4. The prison moon glowed red from its volcanic surface. Impossible, said General Krex. The facility has layered defenses from multiple species. Energy shields, gravity wells, automated weapon systems. Even if we got past those, the moment we entered their space, the Drakids would kill the princess. So, we do nothing? Sovereign Nadar asked, his voice breaking. Jack finally spoke. All heads turned toward him in surprise. Humans rarely spoke at council meetings. The Solar Federation offers its help, Jack said simply. There was a moment of silence, then several representatives laughed. The Drakid ambassador, who had been invited to the meeting as a neutral observer, laughed the loudest. What could humans possibly do that the combined forces of the council cannot? He asked with a sneer. Jack met his yellow eyes calmly. We have certain skills that might be useful. Like what? Demanded General Krex. Your ships are slow, your weapons are basic, you have no experience in galactic conflicts. Sometimes new perspectives see solutions that old eyes miss, Jack said. The council debated Jack's offer for another hour. In the end, they didn't officially accept it, but they didn't forbid human involvement either. As the meeting ended, Sovereign Nadar approached Jack. I appreciate your offer, Emperor Harmon, he said, using the title that humans had given Jack. But I fear it will only lead to more human deaths. Jack smiled. Let us worry about that, Sovereign. Princess Ilara was kind to our people when others dismissed us. We remember our friends. Back on his ship, Jack called his team together. In the secure meeting room were his 5 best people. Nate Kelly, former Marine and Jack's oldest friend. Olivia Weston, tactical expert who could plan impossible missions. Sam Porter, technology specialist who understood the precursor knowledge almost as well as Jack. Ben Martinez, medical officer who could treat any species. Lisa Chen, infiltration expert who could get into anywhere. The council won't help, Jack told them. They're too afraid of starting a war. So we're on our own, Nate said. It wasn't a question. Jack nodded and activated a hologram of Caraxes 4. This is where they're keeping Princess Alara, a maximum security prison on a volcanic moon. The council says it's impossible to break into. Lisa studied the hologram. No place is impossible to break into. Just difficult. What's the plan? Asked Olivia. Jack smiled. We're going to use their expectations against them. They think humans are primitive, so that's exactly what they'll see. Over the next 2 days, while the council continued to debate, Jack's team prepared. Their ship, the Earthborn Shadow, looked like a standard human vessel from the outside. Inside, it contained the most advanced technology humans had developed using precursor knowledge. Vega, activate the shroud, Jack ordered as they approached Caraxes 4. Shroud activated, replied the ship's AI. We are now invisible to all known detection systems. The Earthborn Shadow slipped past the outer defenses of Caraxes 4 without triggering any alarms. They positioned themselves above the prison facility, hidden in the shadow of a large mountain. Scan the facility, Jack ordered. Scanning, Vega said. A detailed map of the prison appeared. I detect approximately 200 guards of various species. Security systems include motion sensors, heat detectors, and quantum lock barriers. Princess Alara is being held in the high-security wing, Level 5, Cell Block C. Jack studied the map. Any weaknesses? Their power grid has a standard redundancy system, Sam said, looking at the data. If we cause a failure in one section, power will be redirected from other areas, creating brief vulnerabilities. Can we use that? Jack asked. Olivia nodded. If we trigger multiple failures in sequence, we can create a path to the princess while their systems are confused. Then that's what we'll do, Jack decided. Nate, Lisa, you're with me. Sam will coordinate from here. Ben, prepare the medical bay in case the princess needs treatment. Jack, Nate, and Lisa put on what looked like simple spacesuits, but these suits contained technology far beyond what other species believed humans possessed. They could bend light around the wearer, making them nearly invisible. They had shields that could stop energy weapons. They could even allow the wearer to pass through solid matter for brief periods. They used small pods to travel from the ship to the surface of the moon. The pods, like the ship, were invisible to detection systems. They landed in a small crevice near one of the facility's air vents. Sam, start the power disruptions, Jack said through his comm unit. Starting now, Sam replied from the ship. Inside the facility, lights flickered in the eastern section. Alarms sounded. Guards ran to check what was happening. While they were distracted, Jack's team slipped into the air vent. They moved quickly through the maintenance tunnels of the facility. When they needed to cross main corridors, they used their suit's phase shift ability to walk through walls. Guards ran past them, never knowing they were there. Power fluctuation in Section 3, Sam reported. Path to Level 5 is clear for 30 seconds. The team moved to a service elevator that was temporarily offline due to the power issues. They climbed down the shaft to Level 5. Cell Block C was guarded by 4 Drakid soldiers and had a quantum lock barrier that would normally be impossible to bypass. But Jack had learned things from the precursors that the Drakids couldn't imagine. He pulled a small device from his belt and placed it against the control panel of the barrier. The device linked with the quantum particles in the lock and reordered them. The barrier flickered and died. What's happening? One guard asked, moving toward the control panel. Nate activated his suit's stun field. All 4 guards collapsed without a sound. Jack moved to the cell door and used the same device to unlock it. Inside, Princess Alara sat on her bed looking surprised. Emperor Harmon? She asked, not believing her eyes. How did you get in here? No time to explain, Jack said, offering her his hand. But we're getting you out. She took his hand and followed him. Lisa handed her a small device. Put this on your wrist, Lisa said. It will hide you from their sensors. As they moved back through the facility, Sam continued to create power problems that distracted the guards. When they reached the air vent, Jack contacted the ship. Vega, bring the shadow to extraction point 2. We have the princess. The return to their entry point was tense but successful. Only once did they nearly run into a group of guards, but they slipped into a side passage just in time. When they reached the surface, the Earthborn shadow was waiting, still invisible to the prison's sensors. They boarded quickly and left Caraxes far behind. It was only when they were safely away that Princess Alara finally spoke. "How?" she asked simply, looking around the ship with wide eyes. "How did you do this? Your technology? It's not possible." Jack smiled. "There's a lot about humans that the galaxy doesn't know yet, Princess. But the phase shifting, the cloaking technology, the quantum lock bypass, these are all technologies that even the Arcturians haven't mastered," she said. "We've been keeping some secrets," Jack admitted. "We found it was better to be underestimated while we learned about the galaxy." Princess Alara looked at him with new understanding. "You've been pretending to be primitive. Let's just say we've been selective about what we share," Jack replied. "And now, we should contact your father. I believe he'll be very happy to see." Have in store for the galaxy. Princess Alara couldn't stop staring at the control room of the human ship. Everything she saw challenged what she knew about humans and their technology. The displays showed information in ways she had never seen before. The controls responded, to thoughts as well as touch. Even the air felt different, somehow cleaner and more energizing than on any ship she had ever been on. "Would you like something to drink?" Jack asked, noticing her looking around. He guided her to a small room off the main control area. Inside were comfortable chairs and a table. "Yes, thank you," Alara said, sitting down carefully. Her legs still felt weak after the escape. Jack touched a panel on the wall, and 2 cups appeared, filled with a blue liquid. He handed one to Alara. "It's similar to an Arcturian berry drink," he explained. "Our systems analyzed your biology and created something compatible." Alara took a sip. It tasted exactly like the mountain berries that grew on her home world. "How is this possible? Your people have only been in space for a few decades." Jack sat across from her. "That's what we wanted everyone to think. But why hide your true capabilities?" Alara asked. "History," Jack said simply. "When we studied other species, we noticed a pattern. New races that advance too quickly often face fear and aggression from established powers. Sometimes they're even destroyed before they can become a threat." Alara nodded slowly. This had happened many times in galactic history. "So, you pretended to be less advanced than you are?" "We had a unique advantage," Jack continued. "Most species develop technology slowly over thousands of years. But I found something that changed everything for humans." He told her about discovering the precursor ship, how it had downloaded knowledge directly into his mind, and how humans had used that knowledge to leap forward in technology. "But even with advanced technology, we're still new to the galaxy," Jack finished. "We needed time to understand the political landscape, to make allies, to prepare defenses. Appearing primitive gave us that time." "And now?" Alara asked. "After rescuing me, the galaxy will know humans aren't what they seem," Jack smiled. "Perhaps it's time for that. The Drakids forced our hand. We couldn't let them hurt you, even if it meant revealing some of our capabilities." Alara felt her face grow warm. The idea that humans would risk exposing their secret to save her was touching. "We're approaching the rendezvous point," Nate said, entering the room. "The Arcturian flagship is already there, along with representatives from the council." "Good," Jack said, standing. "Let's give them a show they won't forget." The Earthborn shadow dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a large space station. The station was neutral ground where species could meet safely. Around it floated ships from many different worlds. The largest was the Arcturian royal vessel, gleaming silver in the light of a nearby star. "They've detected us," said Lisa from the control room. "The Arcturian ship is hailing us." "Put them through," Jack ordered. A screen appeared in the air. On it was the face of Sovereign Nadar, looking tired and stressed. Emperor Harmon, he said formally. The council is meeting to discuss the Drakid demands. I appreciate your support, but as I told you before, I have someone who wants to speak with you, Jack interrupted gently. He stepped aside, revealing Princess Ilara. Sovereign Nadar's eyes widened. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Hello, Father, Ilara said, smiling. Ilara? How is this possible? Nadar looked from his daughter to Jack and back again. The humans rescued me, Ilara explained. They infiltrated Caraxes 4 and brought me out without alerting the guards. Nadar seemed unable to process this information. But Caraxes 4 is impenetrable. General Krex said no force in the galaxy could break in and out without being detected. Apparently he was wrong, Jack said simply. We'll dock with the station. In 10 minutes, I believe the council will want to hear our report. The screen disappeared. Ilara turned to Jack. My father doesn't understand what just happened. None of them will, Jack replied. That's okay. Sometimes being underestimated is useful. When they docked with the station, Sovereign Nadar was waiting at the airlock. He embraced his daughter tightly, tears streaming down his blue face. I thought I had lost you forever, he whispered. I'm safe, Father, Ilara assured him. Thanks to Emperor Harmon and his team. Nadar turned to Jack. I don't know how you did this, but the Arcturian Dominion is in your debt. Jack nodded. I'm just glad we could help. They walked together to the council chamber. Inside, representatives from all the major galactic powers were seated around a large table. They had been discussing ransom terms for the princess. When Ilara walked in, the room fell silent. The Drakid ambassador jumped to his feet. This is impossible, he shouted. You're lying. This must be a trick. I assure you, I am quite real, Ilara said calmly, and no longer a guest in your prison. General Krex looked at Jack with new respect and suspicion. How did you do it, human? How did you break into a facility that our best military minds said was impenetrable? Jack shrugged. Human ingenuity. There's more to it than that, said the Nelvari representative. No primitive species could have done this. You've been hiding your true capabilities from us. The chamber erupted in voices. Some demanded answers. Others called for investigations into human technology. A few suggested that humans might be a threat to galactic stability. Sovereign Nadar raised his hand, and the room quieted. Whatever. Methods Emperor Harmon used. The result is my daughter's safe return. The Arcturian Dominion declares humans to be our allies and friends from this day forward. This caused more commotion. The Arcturians were one of the oldest and most respected powers in the galaxy. Their support of humans changed everything. Jack waited for the noise to die down. The Solar Federation has never hidden the fact that we are still learning about the galaxy. There is much we don't know, but there are some areas where our approach is different from yours. Different how? Asked General Krex. We look at problems from new angles, Jack explained. We find solutions where others see only barriers. That's how we rescued Princess Ilara. And your technology? Pressed the Nelvari representative. The phase shifting the princess described? The ability to bypass quantum locks? These are not the capabilities of a primitive species. Jack smiled. As I said, we're still learning. But we're quick students. The council meeting continued for hours. Jack revealed some of humanity's advancements, but not all. He explained how humans had developed their technology independently, without mentioning the precursors. It was a careful balance, showing enough to gain respect but not so much as to cause fear. Through it all, Princess Ilara watched Jack with growing admiration. She saw how skillfully he handled the questions, how he calmed fears while still maintaining an air of mystery about human capabilities. When the meeting finally ended, many council members gathered around Jack, eager to establish better relations with humans. Trade offers and diplomatic overtures came from species that had previously ignored Earth. You've changed the galaxy today, Ilara told Jack quietly as they stood to the side of the chamber. Nothing will be the same after this. Jack nodded. Change was inevitable. But now it happens on our terms, not theirs. And what are your terms, Emperor Harmon? Ilara asked. What do humans want from the galaxy? Jack looked at her with serious eyes. The same thing everyone wants, Princess. A safe home for our people, respect from our neighbors, and a chance to build something better than what came before. Ilara believed him, and she wondered what other surprises these remarkable humans would bring to the stars. 3 months after Princess Ilara's rescue, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The Drakid Collective faced sanctions from the Council for kidnapping the Arcturian heir. Many planets ended their trade agreements with them. The Drakids' power had diminished greatly. The Solar Federation, on the other hand, had risen in status. Species that once ignored humans now sent ambassadors to Earth. Trade ships arrived daily, bringing alien goods and taking human products back to distant worlds. Jack Harmon stood in his office in Geneva, looking out at the city. New buildings with alien architecture now stood beside the old human structures. Visitors from across the galaxy walked the streets, curious about the species that had fooled everyone for so long. Emperor Harmon, said Vega through the room's speakers. Princess Ilara's ship has entered Earth orbit. Jack nodded. Thank you, Vega. I'll be ready to greet her. This would be Ilara's first visit to Earth. After returning to her homeworld for a few months, she had asked to come see the human planet. As the new Arcturian ambassador to Earth, she had good reasons for the visit. But Jack suspected there were personal reasons too. Since her rescue, he and Ilara had spoken often through long-distance communications. They had formed a friendship that seemed to be growing into something more. Jack found himself thinking about her silver eyes and the way she laughed when he said something unexpected. An hour later, Jack stood on the landing pad as Ilara's ship touched down. It was smaller than the royal cruiser she had used before, but still elegant and beautiful like all Arcturian vessels. When the doors opened and Ilara walked out, Jack felt his heart beat faster. She wore simpler clothes than when he had first met her, more practical for a working ambassador than a princess. But to him, she looked more beautiful than ever. Emperor Harmon, she said formally, bowing her head slightly. Princess Ilara, he replied with equal formality. Then he smiled. Welcome to Earth. Thank you for having me, she said. I've been looking forward to seeing your world. Jack had arranged a tour of Earth's major cities. They started in Geneva, then traveled to New York, Tokyo, and Cairo. Everywhere they went, people greeted Ilara warmly. Humans had heard how she had stood up for Earth in the Council, arguing that humans deserved more respect and better treatment. In Tokyo, they walked through a garden of cherry trees. Ilara touched the pink blossoms with wonder. We have nothing like this on my world, she said. Our plants are mostly blue or purple. Earth has amazing diversity, Jack told her. Thousands of ecosystems, millions of species. It's one of the things that shaped human thinking. Is that why you're different from other species? Ilara asked. Why you solve problems in ways others don't think of? Jack considered this. Partly. We also had to overcome a lot of challenges. Humans almost destroyed themselves several times before learning to work together. Like the Great Unity War you told me about? Ilara asked. Jack nodded. That was the turning point. After that, humans realized we needed to unite if we wanted to survive. The Solar Federation grew from that understanding. Their final stop was Washington, D.C., where Jack would address the United Earth Parliament about the new alliance with the Arcturian Dominion. The Parliament building was old but had been updated with new technology. Inside, representatives from all Earth nations waited to hear from their leader. Before entering, Jack and Ilara stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The sun was setting, turning the sky orange and red. It's beautiful, Ilara said softly. Yes, Jack agreed, though he was looking at her, not the sunset. Ilara turned to him. Jack, I need to tell you something important. He waited, noticing she had used his first name instead of his title. My father wants to form more than just a trade alliance with Earth, she said. He wants to create a formal partnership between our civilizations. sharing technology, defense, resources, everything. Jack raised his eyebrows. That's significant. The Council will see it as the Arcturians taking sides. Yes, Ilara agreed. But after what happened with the Drakids, many species are reconsidering their positions. The Nelvari and the Phalanx have already approached my father about joining this partnership. A new power block in the galaxy, Jack said thoughtfully. Ilara nodded, with humans at its center. Your approach, your way of thinking, it's what the galaxy needs right now. Jack looked out at the city again. This was moving faster than he had planned. He had expected it would take decades for humans to gain this kind of influence. There's something else, Ilara said, her voice softer now, something personal. Jack turned to her, his heart beating faster again. When you rescued me, she continued, I saw something in you, in all humans, that I had never seen before. You took an impossible situation and found a way through. You did what no one else could do. That's just how we are, Jack said with a small smile. I know, and it's what makes you special. Ilara took a step closer to him. The diplomatic alliance between our worlds would be stronger with a personal connection as well. Jack understood what she was suggesting. A union between the human emperor and the Arcturian princess would cement the alliance in ways no treaty could. Are you proposing an arranged marriage, princess? He asked, half joking. Ilara laughed, the sound like music. Nothing so formal, Emperor. I'm suggesting we explore what's already growing between us and see where it leads. Jack reached out and took her hand. Her skin was cooler than human skin, but soft and smooth. I would like that very much. They stood together looking out at Earth as darkness fell and lights came on throughout the city. The distant stars became visible, each one possibly holding worlds with other civilizations, other challenges, other opportunities. What happens next? Ilara asked after a while. We build something new, Jack said. Not just humans, not just Arcturians, but all species who want to work together. We share what we know, learn from each other, grow together. And the precursors? Ilara asked. Will you share their knowledge with others? Jack had told her the full truth about the precursors and how their technology had advanced humanity so quickly. It was a secret he had shared with no other alien. Carefully, he said. Some knowledge can be dangerous if not handled properly. But yes, over time, we'll share what we've learned. In the following months, the alliance between humans and Arcturians changed the galaxy. Other species joined them, creating a new coalition based on cooperation rather than competition. The Drakids and their allies became isolated, their influence fading. Jack and Ilara worked together, bringing their different perspectives to solve problems that had troubled the galaxy for centuries. Their personal relationship grew as well, bridging the gap between their species in ways no one had thought possible. 1 year after Ilara's rescue, Jack stood with her on the observation deck of a new ship, larger than any built before, combining human innovation with Arcturian elegance. It would be the first of many exploration vessels that would push beyond the known galaxy. What do you think we'll find out there? Ilara asked, her hand in his as they watched the stars. I don't know, Jack admitted. But whatever it is, we'll face it together. The ship's engines hummed as it prepared for its first journey. Humans and Arcturians worked side by side on the bridge, along with members of other allied species. The galaxy had changed, and it would never be the same again. All because a supposedly primitive human had rescued an alien princess and shown the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of.